0.59%, states the report. Every year, many number of students pass out of colleges in India and around the world. Seeing the trend and the fast-paced growth in today's world, the industry standards also keeps increasing at the same time. With this, of course, comes many numbers of expectations from the upcoming students by the corporates. Management skills can be defined as traits or abilities that an executive should possess in order to complete a specific task in an organization. Some of the management skills include capacity to perform duties while avoiding crisis situations and promptly solving business problems. Management skills can be developed through learning, solving case studies, developing real-life projects, and practical experience as a manager. The skills help the manager for the easy flow of activities in the organization. Nowadays, there is a shift from imparting mere basic management skills to multi-skills in an integrated manner. Many studies have been done to identify which are the most demanded technical and non-technical skills. Richard E. Goel's, Elizabeth C. Stubbs, and Scott and Taylor indicated a major challenge to management education is to develop the ability to use management knowledge. David A. Latif research focuses on the management skills components of managerial effectiveness. Judy D. Olian, Kathy C. Drum, Amy L. Christoph, Kenneth G. Brown, Richard M. Priest, and Linda Kundar focuses on strategically aligned training and development systems that advance and sustain the organization's competitive positions in its market. Learning a soft skills never go out of style, and it is the best investment by students in career. Also, the rise of AI is only making soft skills increasingly important, as they are the type of skills robots cannot automate. As per a study conducted by 57% of senior leaders, soft skills are more important than hard skills. You may be a computer wizard, a scientific genius, or a master of mathematical theories. However, to be successful, you need more than just expertise in your given specialty. In fact, according to the National Association of Colleges and Employees, NACE, when corporates were asked to name the expectations they seek in candidates, they gave their highest scores to the following three traits: written communication skills, 82%, problem-solving skills, 80.9%, ability to work in a team, 78.7%. Interestingly, technical skills, only 59.6%, and computer skills, only 55.1%, often considered among the most important skills an applicant can possess in today's high-tech job market, ranked quite low by comparison. The results clarify that employers are paying much closer attention to soft skills in the workplace than they did in years past. In response to the demand for employees who also possess emotional intelligence, some post-secondary schools incorporate soft skills in scientific and technical specialties like team building skills, communication skills, and leadership strategies. Soft skills are broadly classified as a combination of personality traits, behaviors, and social attitudes that allow people to communicate effectively, collaborate, and successfully manage conflict. People with good soft skills tend to have strong situational awareness and emotional intelligence to navigate difficult working environments while still producing positive results. This is especially important for leadership positions because good leadership is more about managing people and directing their efforts towards the desired outcome rather than bringing any specific technical skills to bear. Another benefit of soft skills is in the workplace is that they help people to adapt to changing circumstances. Being able to communicate effectively during a time of uncertainty or collaborate with others when solutions are not immediately obvious is hugely important, whether someone is in a leadership position or not. Given their many applications, it is hardly surprising that corporates are doing more to assess a candidate's soft skills during the interview process. Few soft skills corporates expect from young aspirants: leadership skills, teamwork, communication skills, problem solving skills, work ethic, flexibility and adaptability, and interpersonal skills. There might be more, but these are few which I have quoted. Now, to discuss and to elaborate this particular topic, that is the corporate expectations from young aspirants, we have a very elite, knowledgeable leaders of the on this field panelist with us, and I would like to invite my first panelist guest. He is Professor Dr. R. Gopal. Professor Dr. R. Gopal is the director and head of the department D.Y. Patil University. He is the former dean, D.Y. Patil University School of Management. He is basically an engineer from IIT Kharagpur in mechanical engineering. He is also MBA, ICWA, PhD, and postdoctoral research degree DLIT. He is also the member board of management of the Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University. He has more than 27 years of corporate experience with Bush India Limited, Larsen and Toubro, that is L&T, Tata Economic Consultancy Services, and Siemens. Additionally, he has more than 30 years of teaching experience in various B schools, that is business schools in and around Mumbai, in the areas of marketing, finance, and general management, etc. He was the visiting faculty in several B schools in USA. In the USA, he has conducted several programs on topics like how to do business in India. He has also published more than 200 research papers, both in Indian and foreign journals of repute. He has been awarded the Best Outstanding Research Paper at the Asia Pacific Marketing Conference held in Malaysia. He is also a reviewer to several international journals having a high impact factor. He is the guide for MPhil and PhD students of several universities in India. More than 100 chief editor to several national and international journals of repute. Dr. R. Gopal is the recipient several national and international awards such as Rashtriya Vidya Saraswati Puruskar, Rashtriya Vikas Ratan Award, Glory of India Award, Rajiv Gandhi Education Excellence Award, Best Teacher Award, Best Management Teacher Award, Educationist Award, Star of Asia Award, and many, many more. And if I will read all the awards, I am sure that my entire program will be reading his awards. So welcome, Professor Dr. R. Gopal on our show. Professor Dr. R. Gopal, you are not only associated with the business school or the teaching, but you are also associated with many big corporates, giants corporates in India. And you are you are associated with a university, and you are dealing with both the sides of the coin. You have seen from the corporate side, and you are also seeing from the student sides or the young aspirants. So now we would like to know your views on the corporate expectations from young aspirants. Professor Dr. R. Gopal, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lal, for those nice words that you spoke about me. Good morning to you. Morning, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. Morning, Prashant Soumitra, all my viewers, you on YouTube, Facebook, Global TV, etc., etc. The topic for the day is very interesting and one of the most relevant and extremely important. According to CMI data, in June 2021, urban unemployment rate was as high as 10%, and the rural unemployment rate was as high as about 9%. 23 million people have lost their jobs. And various studies have indicated that higher educational institutions, for example, the unemployment rate is almost as high as 60 to 70%. And some of the corporates have said that the students today are unemployable. Kindly allow me to use the word aspirants and students interchangeably. An analysis of the various educational institutions indicate that there is a drastic change which is taking place, which have a profound bearing on the expectations of both students and the corporates. And what are they? One, the student demography is changing. Second, there is an information blast. You name the information, it's available on Google, Wikipedia, etc., etc. There is a growth for profit academic institutions, and therefore their needs, their views are different. The workplace environment has changed from offline to online, from job security to job insecurity. New technologies are impacting the industry, and this is what we call as Industry 4.0, which indicates subjects like artificial intelligence, robotics, business analytics, etc., etc. The old order has changed. Expectations have changed drastically on both the sides. Corporates are not willing to give time for training, and they believe that the students must start earning from day one itself. One of the corporates HR mentioned to me that today industry does not have time even to give you a briefing on how the industrial environment is. Guys, let me tell you, as the director of the institute, as the director of the School of Management, I have been talking to more than 250 corporates every year. And whenever any corporate comes to my office, I invariably have a cup of tea, coffee, or lunch. And the discussion normally is, what is the expectations of these corporates? Fundamental knowledge, they should have application knowledge, and they should have personality, a good personality. The evaluation process is 10% for fundamental knowledge, 40% for application knowledge, and 50% towards personality development, which includes holistic development. And additionally, in today's context, students are expected to know a little bit about Industry 4.0. Fundamental knowledge are evaluated by asking one or two questions like, define marketing, role of HR, what are the golden principles of finance, etc., etc. Application knowledge is asked by or evaluated by asking certain practical situations, but the maximum weightage is given for holistic development. What do you mean by that? Invariably, all the HRs zeroed on the following points. And what is that? First, they said the candidate has to be likable. Now, what do you mean by likable? I asked them, and they said sincerity, openness, transparency, and whether the student understands people behavior. Second, you should have extrovert characteristics. That means you should be able to talk, mix in a group, etc. Third, you should demonstrate the art of giving. Fourth, you should demonstrate the art of listening. Surprisingly, you should have a resilience attitude. That means accept failures in your stride. Communication skill, both written and oral. And not only that, the HRs also said, today we are in a global world. And when you are in a global world, English is a global language. And therefore, your English communication has to be good, written as well as verbal. Problem solving and critical thinking. And here they said, we are not looking at only problems in isolation of marketing or finance, but we are talking of interdisciplinary problems. Why? Because the industry is not a marketing industry or a HR industry. It comprises of the whole gambit of management. negotiating or resolving conflict solutions, and demonstrating, watch this very carefully, demonstrating honesty, integrity, objective thinking, positive attitude, and surprisingly, they said discipline is one of the most important characteristics. How are these features evaluated? Whether the student has demonstrated leadership styles. This is checked by asking questions whether you have participated in certain activities and what is the role that you took place. Asking the student to name a challenging situation and how did he overcome it. Whether he has worked in a team. Whether the student can communicate well, and this is measured through group discussions and personal or telephonic or video, and most important today, and most important, whether you have understanding of the digital technology. What do I mean by that? They expect you to understand Word, Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. You have to be Excel in all of this. Whether you have emotional stability. I don't know, this is something which has come up in the last 1 month when I was speaking to some of them. Does he have fire in the belly? I said, how does it help you? They said, fire in the belly is not only required to be an entrepreneur, but also you are expected to be an intrapreneur. And does he have empathy or sympathy to the various societal group? And does he have an idea about the organization and the industry that he's operating? Give you a classic example. The other day, I was in a meeting for selecting the director and certain faculties of a large B school. And surprisingly, it came out that many of them have not even heard about the growth plans of that particular B school, nor do they know about the vision. And then they said, how can you become a leader if you don't understand the industry and you have not checked the particular organization's details? If these are the expectations and these are the evaluation processes, then the main issue is what strategies should the student follow? And more importantly, can he on his own be able to develop all these characteristics that are required? And the answer is no. And this is where institutions, higher education institutions come in. But their job is only to facilitate. They cannot do anything more than that. And how can they facilitate? Higher education can help students by achieving or by having guest lectures, conferences, making the lectures interesting, case study discussions, creating an inquisitiveness. How? By allowing them to ask questions. Creating a problem-solving attitude. How? By giving them cases, by giving them small caselets where they are able to discuss and come to a solution. And very importantly, there is a need to improve the communication skills. And this is something which is very important, not only verbal, written, but also English language. I held a discussion with almost, I would say, more than 50 to 100 B schools and other higher education, and I evolved a 15-point strategy coming from the higher education. What are they? First, organize guest lectures and live products, enlightenment lectures, simulation techniques, one-day industrial visits, innovative techniques in teaching like reverse learning, group learning, presentations, etc. Higher education institutions must and should start niche-based industry programs like a retail management program, international business program, hospital and health management programs, etc. Compulsory participation in sports and cultural activities. This helps in building a team, and it's very important. We at our school have now started from last year a political science lecture, one lecture every week on political science, ethical values, and character building. I do not know how much of it is feasible, but a one-week visit to a rural village so that the students understand what exactly is happening there. ISR activities and international and national conference. Second important thing, compulsorily use of ICT. That means electronic medium like the PowerPoint, like the Word document, no handwritten. Development of personalities, spiritual development. We have started for the last 2 years a yoga class and a meditation class in our organization. Two more important issues, cooperation with industry, arranging guest lectures, guidance in designing syllabus, introduction of new courses, arranging seminars, creation of e-cells so that the entrepreneurial habit or entrepreneurial, because make in India is very, very critical. And then these entrepreneurs are the real backbones of the employment. Today, bulk of our employment to the students comes not from large organizations, but comes from the startups and the unicorns of India. Now, if any of these HEIs follows even 10%, 20%, 30% of the above 15-point strategy, I think we can make wonders. But that's not the issue. The issue is, the critical issue is, the HEI can do everything, but is the student willing to learn? And that is a critical issue, because we can take the horse to the pond, but how much to drink, when to drink, and what to drink depends on the student. And if the student is willing to learn, guys, I can tell you something. This unemployment rate will come down drastically. Jobs are available in plenty. It's not that the jobs are not available, but the jobs are available only to those important, those critical people who are willing to self-learn and who are able to develop themselves and be useful to the corporates. With these few words, I would like to end. Thank you very much for patient listening. And before I go, one last line, children, one last line to everybody. Wave 3 is coming, and we have got to protect ourselves by vaccinating. Vaccinate yourself when the time comes for you. Thank you, and God bless all of you. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, Lal Saab, and God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. R. Gopal, for giving your very, very strong views and clear views with your own experiences. And I will just highlight few of the points which he has raised and very clearly. First thing is, he says that the work environment in the industry is changed now. It's not like earlier time, and now it's the time of 4.0. And when we are talking of 4.0 time, the expectations of the corporates are very, very high. And they says we have no time for training, no time even for briefing. So basically, they want the student or the aspirant to be ready to use. Once he will come to the organization, he or she should be ready to deliver whatsoever the industry wants. And in that, he has given many points about the personality, and he made a very, very clear thing that, see, the condition is, according to the corporates, which with his own experience while he's meeting with so many corporates, Professor Dr. R. Gopal, he says that the fundamental knowledge is they are giving only for 10%. The application knowledge is only 40%, but the personality is 50%. So now the main emphasis on the personality. And in that, he has to be extrovert. English is very, very important. He must be honest, disciplined, and he knows the digital technology. Emotional stability should be there in the fire in belly. And he says it is earlier, it used to be for the entrepreneurs. Now, even for those who are working, they should have a fire in the belly. Then only they can deliver. And he must have full knowledge about the industry when he's joining, when he's even coming for the interview, and especially to that particular industry or the corporate where he is joining. If he doesn't know about that, then it shows that how much ignorant he is and how he's going to deliver in future. And he says that all these things are required. And he has given a 15-point, his own suggestions. He says if the students or the youth will follow these 15 points, they will definitely succeed. And but he has explained all those 15 points, but he says the problem lies that although the higher education institutions are ready to impart the knowledge or the education, but the willingness to learn is a very, very difficult time, difficult, or they are not interested to learn. That is why this thing is happening. Although he says now many institutions, and he says his own institutions have changed the things what they were following earlier. Now they have every week one guest lecture for political science, for moral science, etc. They are doing yogas and meditations, etc. But it all depends on the youth or the aspirant or the student. If they will not learn, how the institutions, although they are trying their best. Anyway, thank you very much, Professor Dr. R. Gopal. I'm sure those students or those aspirants today watching our show are getting this very, very important and very learned advice. Although the Guru Purnima was yesterday, but I'm sure today they are getting the blessings of Gurus of Guru, and that is Professor Dr. R. Gopal. Thank you very much for giving your very, very, very clear and very to the point views. I'm sure every viewers, even I am also been educated today what you have told. Thank you very much, Professor R. Gopal. Now I would like to invite my next panelist, and she is Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan is the director of ITM Business School, Navi Mumbai. She is a professional with more than 2 decades in teaching, training, and heading institutions, coupled with half a decade of corporate exposures in companies like LB and DHM. She headed the ITM Chennai campus for 3 years and was associated with Times and ICFAI in the capacity of campus head. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan is a doctorate in management, postgraduate in education management and human resource management, and master's in English literature. She is a core committee member of Higher Education Forum and member of CII Education Committee. She has been invited as a speaker at various forums and has a penchant for writing articles on leadership and management areas. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan is an external member on the board of Ultratech Cement Limited, Aditya Birla Group for POSH. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan is a recipient of the APJ Karamveer Chakra in 2014 for inspiring youth to contribute towards society. She was an awardee for Women Achiever from NSA and Higher Education Forum bestowed on her the Best Emerging Director Award in 2015. In 2017, Fine Arts Society bestowed FAS Istri Ratna Award, which was presented by Dr. Rajshri Birla to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan in recognition of her illustrious contribution and achievement in the field of education. National Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development, NFED, conferred the Outstanding Women Professional Award to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. In 2020, Dorai Foundation bestowed the Exemplar Award, and Vidya Vya Sarva Dharma bestowed Best Teacher Award on occasion of National Teachers Day to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. In 2021, Heartfulness Education Trust bestowed Heartful Professor Award to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan for initiating moral development of students. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan believes that progress is possible with change and growth mindset. Welcome, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, on our show. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, you have heard Professor Dr. R. Gopal, his views. Now, we would like to know, because you are also associated with business schools, and I still remember when in one of my earlier media conference with Lal Goel, you were very clear at that time. You wanted that the corporate should extend their hands to train the students in the campus. That was your point. But what Professor Dr. R. Gopal has mentioned in his thoughts, he says, as per his experience, they are not interested. The corporates have no time. They are not interested to impart any training or even briefing. So they want that the B schools are going to give a fully developed, grown up, ready to work, ready to sell the aspirant or the employee. Now, we would like to know from you the corporate expectations from young aspirants. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goel. A very good morning to you, to Dr. Gopal, and also to Mr. Prashant. It's an immense privilege and pleasure to be here in this platform, talking about corporate expectations and, of course, how institutions need to really prepare themselves to equip the students with those skills that are expected by corporates. To talk about that, particular point which you raised, where you said, that corporates need to collaborate with institutions to develop students. I completely agree with it. To a certain extent, yes, I also agree with Dr. Gopal, wherein he said that corporates are in a hurry to, have students who are fully equipped with all the skills. Nevertheless, I must mention that, many of these corporates have really supported us in the form of internships. So we at ITM have the longest, duration of internships. We have an industry internship of 5 months. And we are fortunate that we have had more than 300 plus companies which have, collaborated with us, absorbed our students, trained them, and also given them a pre-placement offer. So a lot of learning happens during this internship, and that's one collaboration that I really appreciate that industries are open to. Secondly, we also now have had industries that want to partner with us in starting certain simulations. So we have on campus a retail lab. And for this retail lab, we have a collaboration with Urban Mart, which is willing to set up the complete retail, simulation for the students to learn on campus. I think many such college factories, I would call them, where college collaborating with organizations would make a big difference to students, because there is a lot of live learning that happens. At the same time, I think today institutions are looking with a broader mindset to develop, newer and innovative methods for the progress of the students. I may echo a lot of points that Dr. Gopal has already mentioned, but I would like to point out that attitude is the most important for any corporate to consider, recruiting a student. Let me give you a couple of instances which I have faced in the corporate. There are large organizations which do not want to take students who are a second class. But for us, being an AICTE approved institution, any student who is above 50 can also be absorbed. And I think education has to be an opportunity given to students, not just based on their marks, but based on so many other aspects that the students possess. So for us, we had, let me also name the company. We had Amazon on campus, and every student wanted to be part of this particular organization with a package as large as 14 lakhs. The students really wanted to be part of this process. And it so happened that, yes, Amazon picked up some students, but these were students who were tested on their attitude, whether they could, smile at the most difficult situations, whether they could take pressure and work, whether they were having the right attitude, the attitude of gratitude. And believe me, those students whom they picked up were the students who were most active in the campus, who were ready to do anything for the institution kinds. The second instance is where there was this student who was a second class. He came from a very small town and from a vernacular medium school, was not very good in English. But when this large corporate came on campus, he offered to, be part of the hospitality department. And he was catering to, the corporate's demands, getting them coffee, doing everything possible there. The corporates were so happy with his way of, carrying himself. They were so happy with his attitude. They asked me why he did not apply for this job. And I said, since you have asked for only first class, this boy has not applied for this job. In spite of being, better in communication in Hindi and not English, in spite of being a second class, the corporate said, no, we want to take him. So I feel that attitude is what takes you to the highest altitude, and corporates are looking at that learning capability that students possess. So it's a very, common proverb. We hire for attitude and train for skills. I think many corporates would agree with this particular quote. Let me also talk about the 5 important, areas where students need to be really prepared. One is leadership. Second is integrity. Third is attitude. Fourth, people skills. And of course, knowledge. So if we have to look at leadership, we are looking at being creative, being able to make decisions, being a good planner. And how do corporates test this? They ask situation-based questions. And if the student is able to answer confidently these situation-based questions, they evaluate and find out whether the student really does possess these leadership qualities. Now, how do we develop these qualities in the campus or an institution? I think it is important for students to start or be part of clubs, forums, conferences, seminars, give them certain leadership roles in the campus, which will enable them to, build those skills. Second is integrity. Integrity, of course, also means being honest, being fair, having unbiased judgment. How do we at ITM build this? Also being ethical. Like Dr. Gopal said, it's important to also sensitize them to the needs of the society. So at ITM, we have a 2 weeks NGO internship program, and all the students are, in the society, working with the disabled, working with the blind, the destitute homes, the senior citizens homes, and they contribute for 14 days. Believe me, there are students who take this for life. I think that's the kind of sensitivity a student who is getting into corporate should possess, because he should be a leader with ethical values. And these have to be built in these students. And I feel that unless and until you really give them that experiential learning, students are not going to catch these aspects. Attitude, again, when we talk of attitude, we are looking at the initiative that the student can take. That can also be part of leadership, but even in attitude, whether you're positive, you are a self-starter, you're futuristic, you're balanced, all this comes in, your attitude. And today, believe me, corporates have a way of evaluating students. And there are corporates that also evaluate using AI. Maybe your smile, your eyes, your expression, and they're able to find out whether you really possess the right attitude. We have had certain banks that have used AI to judge whether the student really fits into their culture. So there are many ways corporates are trying to evaluate students. And attitude, again, I think stems out of your expressions, because your face is the window of the soul. And you can give away if you have not developed the right attitude. So it is not just a 2 years learning, but it is, I think, a lifelong development that leads to positive attitude. People skills. Again, when we talk about people skills, you should be a good listener. You should be able to comprehend. You should be able to resolve conflicts, or you should have good interpersonal skills. You should be a good team player. You should have excellent communication skills to make people understand. So there are so many such people skills that we need to develop in these students. And again, I must mention the instance at ITM. We have about 300 hours which we dedicatedly reserve for developing people skills in students. We call this the corporate transition module, where right from soft skills to managerial communication, to teamwork, a lot of such qualities are developed in the skills, developed in the students, and these are all through experiential ways of learning. And coming to the aspect of knowledge, again, very important, because corporates expect that the students come with at least, digital skills, especially in today's times, where it is important for you to understand maybe data analysis, social media skills, and certain aspects related to technology, operating, using a computer, also understanding Excel and various other softwares that are essential today at workplace. So when we talk about knowledge, we are also talking about functional understanding. If the student is a marketing student, he needs to have functional understanding about that particular domain. And I think this is but natural that corporates expect that an MBA or an engineer who has passed out of a certain stream should possess those understandings. How do we do this in institutions? I think it is important for every institution to align the learning or the curriculum to suit the industry. We are creating these students for industry and for life. Of course, there are a lot of values that we need to build into the students. But apart from that, if we do not build employability in these students, I think we fail as institutions. And students, if they fail to learn in an institution, because that's their primary objective of joining an institution. So if they are not able to accumulate or absorb knowledge, I think they also fail as students. So how do, again, we do this? One is aligning it to suit the industry. Second is creating live projects. Like Dr. Gopal mentioned, live projects are where industry pitches in, telling us that, we would want your students to do something related to a certain department. Probably, I mean, if it is, say, Marico or ITC, they would say during the Diwali season, we want your students to be working with us closely because these are peak times and we want them to learn and develop and also support the staff that is working. So there's a lot of learning that happens through live projects because it's entirely experiential. Industry mentoring, yes, I think this is again very important. If we can get industry mentors, and this is what we do during the 5 months industry internship, quite rigorous, where you have a company mentor and you also have a faculty mentor. So the company mentor keeps shaping the student to understand the nuances of corporate culture. At the same time, you have the faculty mentor who, has that personal touch with the student, helps him during difficult times, and at the same time gives him the conceptual understanding of what he is doing at the application level in the corporate. So this also happens through the experiential industry internship. Another aspect that we have tried, another important way of building these students' capabilities is through something called lifestyle management. As I said, yes, you need to build employability skills in students, but at the same time, you also need to build a student for life, build his emotional capabilities, build his spiritual strength. I think there are so many such intelligences that we need to develop in these students. So we have something called lifestyle management, which we created in the campus, especially for the students. And in this lifestyle management, we have combined sessions on ethical values and also on yoga and meditation. So a combination of all these three actually sharpens the student in developing resilience, in developing the emotional balance, and of course, strengthening their roots. I think if your root is strengthened, you are able to give your best to the world and, to the corporate also where you're going to be employed. And when we, so I think this sums up that corporates do have expectations, but I also believe that a collaboration of institution and corporates can create wonders. I must also mention that we have something called a leadership lab, and we invite corporates to be part of this leadership lab. We do a couple of modules where the students try and introspect and develop those certain qualities which are essential for being great leaders. So I think it's time for institutions to evolve, to keep innovating on what is best for the students. And especially now that we are at the pandemic time where we have moved completely into online, I think it's more important for us to understand how we can develop the students when your social intelligence is suffering, when you are on screen, you're not facing you're not physically present in the classroom, but still you need to develop so many such qualities which corporates are looking at. And undoubtedly, I think it is important for corporates to expect these and handhold institutions and collaborate with them so that both together can build these capabilities in the youth. So thank you so much. Students, I hope there would be some takeaways for each one of you. And I pray that you all stay safe and happy. Thank you, Mr. Lal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, for giving your very, very practical approach from the institution side, like Professor Dr. R. Gopal has given mainly from the corporate side, but you have given from the institution side that how the institutions will develop the students for those can fulfill the expectations of the corporates. And she has mentioned very, very important point, which I would like to highlight. And she mentioned about a case in which the very big corporates want to hire only the above 60% or the above the first divisioners, but one student who was a middle class, from the middle class, Hindi speaking, above 50% or so marks, and he has not applied because they have not asked, but he was involved with they are taking care of the hospitality and seeing to it that they are comfortable. And those corporates were so much, the people who were there, they were impressed by that they says, no, we want to hire him, although he has not applied. And they asked, and the college institution said, because you have asked only for the first division. So according to her, this instance shows that it is not only the marks or your division, it all depends on attitude. How you behave in the society, your positiveness, all these things are required to be successful and fulfill the expectations. Of course, the percentage is required. One should try to best, but even this attitude is very much important. And she says the attitude means even the integrity. Now, integrity is a very, very important aspect. If your intentions are good, if you feel that, although she has not mentioned, but I always feel that if you are working in anywhere, if you are studying, think that this institution, this college or institution is your own. You own this institution. When you are working in an organization, you think that this organization belongs to you. You are the CEO, you are the director, you are the owner. Then only your integrity, your faithfulness towards the institution will be there. But what she says, very important point, is the ethical values. One should have the ethical values and experiential learning, which is very, very important. And that's why she says in their ITM, they are having a program of 2 weeks with assignment for the NGO works, where the students are going to a senior citizens' homes or the destitute homes or the blind care, etc., etc., where they learn and then they know what is the life. As Professor Dr. Agopal says that they are sending their students to the villages. Then only, even if they are working in any corporate, because corporate means a huge, big, giant organization, and they are not only working for metros, they are working for all over country, all over the world. It's a global time where you are dealing with a smallest person, the poorest person, and the richest person. So the outlook of the expectation is that you have to be everything. And she says the evolution is required for the institutions. Institutions have to change time to time. They should know what are the expectations of the corporate. Accordingly, they must also change their curriculum. They must also change their teaching methods and whatnot, because that is very much required. Then only we will be doing. And one more interesting thing which I would like to mention about, that nowadays the corporates are using artificial intelligence, AI, to assess you. Now, those who are viewing students, please be careful when you are going. You should not think that I am just having eye contact with the interviewer. You might be observed and you are not knowing. And once you are observed, you have to, they will see each and everything. So you must have those training also. Thank you very much, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, for giving so much things. And it is, I will say, it is not for the students. Again, I am saying I am also learning. I sometimes feel that at the why I have become so old, I should have taken admission now. I'm sure now with the new Professor Dr. Gopal will confirm me, with the new National Education Policy 2020, now the age bar is gone. I can take the admission now also for my MBA course, although I'm 8th fail. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Lakshmi Mohan.
Sir, and we welcome you into our college anytime.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There is no age limit for learning.
Maybe we could come.
Okay. Yes. One has to learn every day. Yes. Thank you very much. Thanks. Now I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Mr. Prashant Soumitra. Mr. Prashant is Vice President of Punjab National Bank Investment Services Limited at Mumbai. He has completed his MBA from D.Y. Patil University and completed Strategic Management from IIM Rohtak. He has more than 14 years experience in investment banking and corporate advisory. He was associated with organizations like CRISIL, IDBI Capital, Fortress, etc., and currently working with as Vice President in PNB Investment Services Limited. His focus areas are on large debt placements, private equity, and mergers and acquisitions. And I will not say because it's off the record, but I will just congratulate him because yesterday he got a deal, or if he wants to disclose, fine. Otherwise, I will just say that because of his efforts and because of his dedication, they could get a very, very big investment, which is a good thing, which although he says it is going to come in the media soon, so then only he would like to disclose, or he would like to discuss today, that is his prerogative. But it shows that how dedicated he is and his knowledge from the corporate side, that what type of young aspirants they are looking for, because he has seen, he was at one time a student of the same university of Professor Dr. R. Gopal, and today he is recruiting the pupil. He is on the position where he is dealing with global giants and glitching deals, very big deals, which is not only going to benefit their organization, but the entire country, all the citizens of the country. So I must congratulate you for your very, very big achievement. Now, you have heard what Professor Dr. R. Gopal has mentioned, as well as Dr. Lakshmi Mohan has mentioned, and they have given their views. One view was his experiences with the interaction with the corporates, as well as his own university. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, basically from the side of the institution, how to develop and how to make those ready to be there. And earlier you are a student and now you are on the position and you are looking from the corporate side practically now what you want, how you expect, because time is changing every now and then. The pandemic has changed lots of things, as both of our panelists has mentioned. So in this new context, corporate expectations from young aspirants, Mr. Prashant Soumitra, please.
Thank you, sir, for inviting me for this show. Firstly, before I start, I think I should take 1 minute, to thank you, especially Mr. Lal Goel, who is doing an commendable job in promoting organ donation. So I could read more about you, in the public domain, and I personally feel that you are giving an second life to the needy, and I think it is more than a life that you are giving to someone who is in need of who is in the need and who's in the pain actually. So my for this incredible efforts, whatever you are taking, I should congratulate you first on that. So second is my pranam and my my wishes to Dr. Gopal, who is also my guru, my mentor, my guide, and he was my professor in 2005, teaching me market research. I mean, that is where I think I've started understanding about marketing and market research when he started, teaching me. So this I'm talking in 2005, where I started learning from him. So from till then, I mean, till now, I mean, I think I've been taking his guidance. I've been taking. I mean, he has been mentoring me on many things. So I really wish to thank him. Then lastly, I would like to thank Dr. Lakshmi Mohan as well. I mean, I think you are just replicating my thoughts on whatever you have been talking now. I mean, I feel like I'm going to do an redub of the South movie on Hindi. So this is exactly the thoughts what I personally feel from last 14 years, where I have worked in various organizations like CRISIL, Fortress, IDBI Capital, and now with Punjab National Bank Investment Services. I mean, those points which you mentioned are specifically to the point, specifically to the subject what we are exactly looking at. I will more focusedly talk about my practical experience in these 14 years, what I have seen from my angle, what I have seen from my peers' perspective, what have been my experience in this corporate world. I have not spent much time, after my post MBA days in college or with Dr. Gopal or any other university, but I have been focusedly working on investment banking activities, advising many corporate bodies, large entities, helping them raise multi-billion dollars. So even yesterday's deal, what I was talking about, I mean, that will be in news very soon. So probably you all will hear from the market directly. So I will leave it to that. Second thing is coming to the point of where what am I expecting from students or the young aspirants is as Dr. Lakshmi Mohan said, first and foremost thing is attitude. I completely 100% agree with her that unless and until students or young aspirants have the right attitude, they will not be able to see success in the world, success at least in the corporate world. Second, and few more various major points, what I personally feel is, they should, have that sense of responsibility, on whatever they're doing. For example, when they are working on support, for example, they are working on finance, or they're working on marketing or operations or retail. I expect that they should have the basic understanding of these topics, whatever they are working on, and they should have an up-to-date information about what is happening in the market. So that comes primarily from reading basic news, what is coming up in public domain, what is coming up in newspapers, okay, what you can seek or get information from your other colleagues or other peers or from your friends and family who are working in corporate entities. Okay. Third is utmost important thing is time management. What I personally feel in youth nowadays is time management is one which is missing in 60% of the cases. The fourth is the way in which they are able to use their management skills in this public in the corporate world, whatever they have learned in colleges. There are two aspects to this. One is you learn some from the college. One is second is you learn something from the on floor basically. So on floor you will learn in depth subject when you are implementing those particular practical knowledges on the live assignments. And the first one what I was talking more towards is the skills what you will have to have or what you will have to have as a habit in an organization that comes from your college days. So as Gopal and Dr. Is mentioning about, I personally feel that if these kind of activities, whatever they are planning, if these kind of things that are whatever they're planning in their colleges, if they are really adaptable and if they're able to learn with self-motivation, I think that's going to be a plus added advantage for anyone who is entering into this corporate world. And having said this, I also agree with Dr. Gopal and Lakshmi Madam that it's always good to have one mentor who will guide you on what is going to happen in the next few years, or what is the kind of approach you should be able to take in the corporate world. So I personally feel that having a mentor will definitely help individual to succeed in life. Apart from this, I feel that if you are determined, if you want to see the change, and if you want to see that the right employment comes to you, I personally feel that you should achieve the best in yourself by reading the articles, reading industry, having the industry knowledge, challenge yourself on whatever you are doing. Okay, take the kind of risk that you will be able to take, and demonstrate your skill set in the world. Okay, and most importantly, you should have belief in yourself, and unless and until you have that, you will not be able to deliver. Let me tell you that I meet almost 10 to 11 people every week, new people every week, and I meet a lot of corporates who are in requirement of finances basically. So I have seen people have grown from zero to hero, and their stories are really really amazing, and I think that is possible only because they have believed in themselves. They could sell themselves basically, and they had that kind of vision which could translate them from zero to hero. So I in the next session probably sometimes I'll be happy to share good number of case studies where I have seen the practical experiences of various entrepreneurs. So having said this, I personally feel if you have time management, if you have the love for the subject, the domain knowledge, and the attention for detail, and bit of a flexibility in whatever you're doing, and with some good communication skills, I think you will be able to succeed in whatever you are doing, and wherever you are entering into a new world. So I think I'll throw this as some major points from my past experience from last 14 years, and I leave it to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prashant Samitri, for giving your views, because you are working in an organization where you are sitting on a large corps of funds, where you are assisting those big corporates, even sometimes small corporates who needs funds, and you are meeting. So the first-hand information from him, and he says, first, he agrees with Dr. Lakshmi Mohan about the attitude. He says the attitude is the most important thing. And ultimately, if your attitude is good, then you can be a very, very successful person. And then the corporates have no hesitation to take you. And he says that mentor is required. And although he has given full credit to Professor Dr. R. Gopal also, that he is his guru and his mentor also. So he says the mentor of you, of any student is required, whomsoever you want to, but please see to it that the mentoring is required. And he says you must have a skills in knowledge, first-hand knowledge. And for that, you read newspapers, articles, see to it that you have the full industry knowledge, because if you are going to anywhere, you should know how to sell yourself. Because he says he has seen many corporates who were from zero to hero, and they have the art how to sell themselves, how to show their vision to the public at large, and raise the funds and execute the projects. That is very, very important. And one more point is the time management, and which is very important. I can only say one thing, that I am doing lots of programs almost every week, once or twice program with the youth. And I found still the youth requires the punctuality. Until you will not have punctuality, then your time management will not work. Because once you will not be able to reach on time, how you will. So he says the time management is required, and the flexibility. You must be flexible. You should not be rigid. If you are doing something, and if some other works is been thrown to you, a challenging thing, you should not say, no, this is not my photo, I have to do. So all those things. And he says there are lots of opportunity, and he's very happy to note that what Professor Dr. Gopal as well as Dr. Lakshmi Mohan has said, that what they are doing in their institutions, he says if these institutions are doing, and if really it happens and the students are adopting these things, then the time is not far, then they will be ready, and most of the corporates are ready to accept them. Thank you very much, Mr. Prashant Samitri, for giving your views from your angle, and I'm sure all our viewers today, they are the giants. They knows the what is required today, whether it's Professor Dr. R. Gopal, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, as well as Mr. Prashant Samitri. And this is what we want in our conferences, that we must impart the knowledge to those who really require. Thank you very much, Mr. Prashant. Now, my first question goes to Professor Dr. R. Gopal. Professor Dr. R. Gopal, you mentioned about that the willingness to learn is lacking. Now, my question to you is, why students are not willing to learn when all facilities are there? We can understand 1 or 2% students might not be willing to learn, but how come the majority students are not willing to learn? Because what facilities you are offering, what new techniques, or which is opening a gateway to a student for a very, very bright future. Because if a corporate will pick them up after getting a 2 years or 3 years course or 4 years course in your university or any college which is imparting these types of things which are required today, why they are not willing to learn? What you think, why they are not willing to learn? Professor Dr. R. Gopal, please unmute.
Also, thank you very much, because this is one of the biggest challenges that I have faced in my entire educational career. And I've always felt that while we give everything to the student, in my own personal vision has been that every student must be a successful student of mine. And for me at the institution, students come first. My vision is student first, and that's how I work towards it. And I do a lot for them. But what I find today, the students are willing. They want something easy route. They don't want to do work, hard work. They say, not so much. Let me give you a very simple example. There is a need to get more and more at less and less cost without troubling themselves too much. And the job of the faculty, the job of the institution, the job of the management becomes that we need to mentor them, we need to coax them, we need to ensure that such things, that we have to tell them, you please work hard, you please work hard. What I'm finding is many of the students spend time, a lot of time at the canteen. Nothing wrong. But then why don't you spend a few hours of that canteen in the library? And I can guarantee you today, irrespective of which director says, the library and the IT lab is completely empty today. Not because of the pandemic, but even pre-pandemic time. Why? Because students feel, अरे वो बाद में करेंगे यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है अभी नहीं है. When does the student come for the placement? It comes at the end of 2 years. And many of the students lack that sense of responsibility. Ki baba, parents are spending 8 lakh, 10 lakh for your studies. It's not easy. But that awareness that 10 lakhs is a big amount of money is not that they suddenly get a lot of freedom. I have an undergraduate program with me, and what do I find out there? That students coming from the school, they feel cramped. They have to wear a tie, they have to wear a uniform. And then when you come to the college, there is a sudden freedom given to you. Now you got to understand that all the freedom has got borders. It's not open to you. And this is where I place a large amount of emphasis is on the role of the faculty, on the role of the mentor, role of the counselors. And if we can force them, when I use the word force, I'm using it in a very positive sense, that they should be interested, they should be working hard. This is where students require what is called as fun-loving teaching. Many of the students have told me, sir, lectures are boring. Why are the lectures boring? The lectures are boring because the faculty reads the PPTs. And most of the information is already available in Wikipedia. Can you bring something extra? And that is what I'm trying to point out to you. If you can bring that in, you are a success. In my own institution, for example, we give a large amount of interdisciplinary case studies. Now, what is the meaning of this interdisciplinary case study? That means that it's a real life program. Like Akbar Ali's is an organization. We had a turnaround strategy case study for Akbar Ali's. Why did we do that? We did that because it comprised of marketing aspects, it comprised of financial aspects, it comprised of HR aspects. And it also brought about the thinking process of the top management. And we have 1 week of interdisciplinary case study where the industry leader comes in and shares his view. This is something that we do. And when we do all of this, what is the net effect? The net effect has been that almost 10 to 15% of my students, I must confess, 10 to 15% of my students have got fantastic placements with a salary package of almost about 10 to 12 lakhs. 70% of my students have got a salary package of 7 lakhs and 20% of my students have a salary package of 5 lakhs. And this is achieved by 250 corporates coming to our college and picking up the students. And this is something which is a must. But you need to mentor them, you need to talk to them, you need to help them create. They're seeing a huge freedom available to you, but that freedom has got limitations and you've got to tell them that. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. Gopal. Interestingly, you mentioned about the library. I happen to know about this library because my son used to study in Imperial College London, and whenever I give a call at that time, he was always says I'm in a library. I was thinking why he's just fooling me. So once I went to London, I said I want to see your library, and he took me. Although he have passed out, but they have a system. Even a ex-student have the pass to enter in the library. So I went to the Imperial College London's library inside. I found that library, a beautiful library, so many books and whatnot, everything. But the interesting part was every eatables were also available there in the library. They have the Coke counter, they have the sandwiches, salads, everything. So he told me that in our college, there is no attendance is compulsory, but we have to study. So we are coming in the night, sitting whole night, all the day. Here we are drinking tea, coffee, Coke, or eating sandwich. Why we can't have this type of concept in India? So the canteen can come to the library. So I'm sure the students who are going to the canteen can come to the library. I just my suggestion to you. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Gopal.
Can I add something out here?
Yes, please. Yeah, please. Short one. Yeah, I have to. Yeah.
But only 20 seconds.
Yes, please.
Sir, the library, in at least in our premises, the library is on the 2nd floor, the canteen is on the 1st floor.
Shift
and
the
library is open from morning 8 o'clock in the morning till about 9 in the evening. More than that, I don't want to say anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Now my question goes to Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. Dr. Lakshmi Mohan, you mentioned about the attitude. Now, how is a student who is reaching to the higher studies institution, if his attitude is not good or is not been taught about the attitude in the primary schools, how you expect that you can change his behavior? Don't you think that this attitude things which you are now teaching in your institutions should be taught from the primary schools so that the students are ready when you are, because it's very difficult to make them ethical. If a person has become unethical, he will remain unethical until some very, very special incident takes place. So don't you think, what is your take on this, whether the ethics or the attitudes or whatsoever you have mentioned should be taught from the primary schools, high schools or the higher secondary schools or PUCs, so that when they will come to the institutions, you have a less job to do that? What you say about this, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan?
Yeah, so I completely agree with you, Mr. Lal, that values and attitudes are built right from your childhood. So while you are maybe 2 or 3 years old, it's your mother or your family members who teach you, how to behave, what kind of attitude can shape you. And then when you go to school, For you, the teacher is your God. And whatever the teacher says is what you're going to do. So right from a good morning to, all the manners, everything you learn from your teacher. And then when you become an adolescent, your friends are very important. So my friend has an Apple phone, I too want an Apple phone. So your likes, dislikes, your attitudes, your values keep changing as you grow. And I feel a student who is in higher education has crossed 18 years. And that's when he uses his own mind. He scans the environment and looks at what is best for him. I think the best time for him to shape his attitude. There's a lot of self-learning that happens during this time. It's not there's a possibility that you will look back and think, oh, my father taught me this, but it was not right. Or my friend did this, which was not right. Because now you are at an adult stage where you can actually decide what is good for you. So I believe that there is nothing like, an age where you cannot learn how to shape your attitude. It is a continuous lifelong process. And that change keeps happening. But yes, institutions have to also instill this through various activities, through giving them responsible positions in the college, through, the learnings of values that can happen in the college. So I think as teachers, we should never feel that, the student has already learned and there's nothing more to learn, even if it is his own life skills. And for students, I think it's important for them to learn that learning is lifelong, be it even shaping your attitude.
Thank you. Because why I said is you gave the incidents of that 50% student. Now, because he is from a medium class family and from a particular school, Hindi speaking, but what we are seeing trend today, those schools, I'm talking of primary schools, high-end schools in metro cities or big cities, they are the students who are coming from there. They have an attitude. They would not like to do whatsoever you are saying, that hospitality, etc. Because they are accustomed that they are not supposed to do all this. While in those schools, they are showing. So that's why if we will have this combination, even in the primary schools of the high-end schools, they will also become with full attitude, what integrity and the gratitude which is required today. Thank you very much, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. As you said, the lifelong learning, yes, one has to have. Now my question goes to Mr. Prashant. People call me doctor many times. I am not a doctor. Similarly, I have called you doctor. But one day you will be getting doctorate from D.Y. Patil University soon. I will not. My question to you is, Mr. Prashant, do you think global corporate expectations are different demographically, or in India and the global corporates like multi-giants, global, they require recruits in USA or UK or another European country, and in India, do you think their expectations from the young aspirants are different, or it is the same whatsoever we are seeing here?
I think personally they are same. There is no difference between what an US based or an Australia based or Europe based company and an Indian based corporate who are recruiting individuals or the young aspirants from India or anywhere in the world actually. So basic skill set that will differentiate you from any other candidate is your core soft skills, which are in some way they are taught and some way they are learned by ourselves. It is in few things. I personally feel that you cannot learn from others. It comes automatically by the realization of what you have been observing in with various entities. So I personally feel that one should try to realize and self-motivate himself towards achieving what he's looking for.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, thank you for giving the compliments to me about the organ donation thing. It's not me. It's a need of the hour today that everyone has to think, because more than 5 lakhs people are dying. This is not made data, this is a government data. More than 5 lakhs people are dying every year, far more than the COVID deaths. and for want of organs. If we will not be pledged to donate our own organs, which are going to be useless after our death, whether the brain, because the organs only when the brain death, tissues when we are actually dying. So this is, I think we must try, everyone should try, and I expect the corporate should also come forward to promote, because in India we have to create the awareness. What we are doing is awareness, and that is what is required today. Thank you very much for giving me compliments for this. Compliments goes to all those donors who have donated their organs and saved so many lives. They have become like a, I must say, next to the God are those donors and their families. Thank you very much. So viewers, today you have seen that what corporates requires from the young aspirants. And this is today's very, very, I must say, par excellence discussions, and what they have mentioned in their thoughts is very, very practical, and which everyone, if whosoever will follow, after all, they have given you all food for thought. Just think, change your attitude, be ethical, think for the society, and learn whatsoever you are learning, whichever field, become expert. But keep your eyes open, see what is happening around, because corporates want a full package. They don't want something only one. They want the multitasking person in one person, because they also wants to see, and they wants to save the money by not appointing 10 people, because now they know that one person can do what earlier 10 people were doing. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, India, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor in our evening program is to bring to you a personality who has achieved in the fields, in different fields, and those who have become a role model. And today is a very interesting day, because I have somebody today with me in my program called Kal Aaj Aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang at 4:30 p.m., who, although is working for the government in a very good position, but his heart bleeds for the society. And that's why he's a role model. And my chief guest is Mr. Amit Kumar. He's a commandant in CISF as Bangalore. And his heart bleeds for the society. And I will be asking from him only his social works, his childhood, his life journey, from his, or I will say the autobiography from his own mouth, for in a half an hour's time from 4:30 to 5 p.m. So please tune in today for Kal Aaj Aur Kal Lal Goel Ke Sang at 4:30 p.m. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. R. Gopal. Thank you very much, Dr. Lakshmi Mohan. And thank you very much, Mr. Prashant Swamitre, for giving such a enlightening things today, knowledgeable, I must say. At least I have enhanced my knowledge, and I will try to join one of the institutions soon. And thank you all the viewers. And I'm sure all the young viewers, all the youths or who are aspirants are benefited by today's media conference. Thank you all. Thank you very much.